We are now recording.
Okay. Welcome to the CNAB community meeting. We are recording, so anything you say may and can be used against you. Let's see, do we have anyone new on the call who hasn't been to a meeting before? I don't think so. Cool. We have a few agenda items today. The first one is this issue or pull request for CNAB last revision, and I think the proposal is to remove this from the core spec, and it's been merged. Was there any more discussion that we wanted to have today on that?
I guess the question was anyone thinking this was in and thought they'd like to use it or anything like that? Or, I mean, I know no one on Porter side was using it.
Yeah, potentially. So we have a use case potentially for this being helpful if we have, say, an invocation image that's trying to be stateless. So you could imagine like writing a Kubernetes applier service invocation image that doesn't maintain any config maps or anything, but like might add a annotation to each resource that it creates that has a CNAB revision on it. And then you could implement a diff action that would like look for existing resources that have the last revision annotation on them, and then like surface some information to the user about what would happen or like do dry run stuff. In practice, we don't do that today because we just use Helm state to manage Kubernetes
Yeah.
deployments. And that's just, we don't really need the revision variable at all at the moment, but I could see it being useful. I think the problem though is that the revision, what the last revision actually is a little bit fuzzy, and there can be different use cases. Like you might want the last successful revision, or you might want the last revision period that was created, even if it wasn't successfully deployed.
Yeah, and then the action really matters too, because if you had run logs or something else versus an upgrade or an install, that's relevant.
And you could have a custom action that is modifies true that creates a new revision. And that would maybe just be something to be aware of as a bundle author, but still it's just like, it's definitely, there's some complexity there in different use cases that I think should be better defined before we have that in the core spec.
Oh, we run out of note length. Give me one sec before we keep talking, and let me remove some old notes right off the bottom.
That's what we call vertical scaling.
Oh my goodness. We're at 1500, I guess. So
most of them are already in the GitHub repo, so we can safely remove them from here.
Just real quick, I removed like January and a little bit of March because I know those are in there.
1500 pages?
We have lines.
We did run into this limit once before, so this is a new one.
Okay, so it's not clear which revision for the runtime. Okay, cool. I'm able to type again. Continue, sorry.
Were there any other discussion points about this that we wanted to cover, or like maybe future work?
Just a little context, that PR 386 was actually started as updates to the claim spec to try and finalize the 1.0 release. And then, yeah, Carolyn pointed out, wait, what's the CNAB last revision? And I think I'm in favor of the consensus we reached on that PR, which was like the concept of CNAB last revision didn't seem fully formed or well baked in the specs. both claim spec and core. So I think it was a good move to just remove for now, and then it can always be broached again with a clearer picture of what was in mind.
Sounds good. Let's move on then to CNAB Core 1.1.0 release. Hey.
Yeah, I can
Go ahead.
speak to this. It was just actually, let's see. Let me find the PR that motivated this minor release 388. Put it in the chat here. Oh yeah, it was the clarification of what the content digest field means on the invocation image when the image type is Docker or OCI. And we had decided that deserved a minor release. And the PR, actually that references, that PR I posted was just kind of updates in anticipation of the minor release, which have been approved by the working group, which I believe is Butcher and Chris Crown. So all that's left, I believe, is cutting the tag. Unless any further thoughts, Butcher or anybody else?
So Chris and I are not the working group. The working group is anybody who has LGTM on that particular PR, which is, or on that particular section of the spec. So anybody, is it in the code owners file? I can't remember how we have this repo set up. So we need, Chris and I just rubber stamp the working group's approval of something. I happen to be on both the working group and the executive group for this particular proposal, but Chris is not on the working group for it. So I think probably we probably should get one more. We should get one more opportunity for all the people who are in the code owners for this or in the working group for this too. Let me check one thing real quick, and then I will articulate this more clearly. Yeah, so the current people who can vote on the acceptance from the working group are Radu, me, Jeremy Rickard, Sylvain, Jacob, and Carolyn. So we need a majority vote of those people in favor of merging of cutting 1.1, and then we can cut 1.1. Then Chris and I will just approve of it, so that's to make the branch, to commit the branch. And then Chris and I approve it, and that is the condition for making the tag, and that's all there is to it. So, so in the past, I think we've used Slack for getting the vote or the issue. We probably should be consistently using the issue, but usually somebody will officially call a vote on the issue, and we can just reuse that issue. Even though it's closed, it doesn't really matter. We just need a place to tally up the votes. So that would probably be a good thing to do in short order. Sorry, process gets a little confusing on this one.
No problem. Yeah, I'll put a comment onto that issue to garner working group votes, majority. And we can move forward.
Great, thanks. And then the next item is CNAB Claims 1.0.0 release.
Yeah, similarly.
Same thing.
Yeah, ditto.
Sure.
I'll post a link into the chat here.
Is there a PR for that one already?
Do we have change logs for both of these?
Good question. No, I haven't put change logs on these PRs. I can do so.
I think that would be nice for spec implementers to be able to see and reference.
Yeah, actually, that would be a nice thing. That's a good idea, Jacob. I hadn't thought of doing that on these vote issues.
Yeah. I think they're pretty small for both of these.
Yeah, I think so. So I think the claims one, we just need a PR to set the version string, just like the one on the core one, and then we would vote on that, right? Because I don't think we have any remaining outstanding issues on claims that we wanted to satisfy before. Yay! Okay.
That was a lot of work.
Anybody want to volunteer to do the honors of creating that PR and opening it?
Yeah, it's there. It's 390, the last link.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, by the way, kudos again to Carolyn and Jacob for finalizing the actual meat and potatoes of this spec.
Beast mode spec. Yeah.
Should we, just with an eye on future changes to the spec, should we require or like add to the GitHub pull request template a change log note for PRs that are updating anything there?
Sounds good. Yeah, do you want me to create an issue to do so?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I think we do already have a pull request template on the repo, right?
I don't know that we do on this spec.
Well, could start simple if we don't have one to begin with. But. Cool. Does anyone else have anything they wanted to bring up? I would love to get some feedback on the recent Datadog On presentation, if y'all saw that.
It went really well. I liked it. It was really fun to see all the different use cases, and especially to see workflow in action. Because selfishly, I want workflow in the spec.
Me too. I think we could do a demo maybe at the next community meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great. I didn't want to ask really nitty questions during the webinar.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if y'all were on there because I was expecting some hard-hitting stuff, but yeah.
I unfortunately came late.
Yeah, I want to be like, show me the YAML, you know?
That's like show me your work. Yeah, would be happy to do that. There's actually very little YAML involved in workflows right now. But.
Almost disappointing now, but okay.
Sorry. It's cloud native if it's not YAML.
Very philosophical concept to think about.
Yeah. All right, well, if there's nothing else, I think we can wrap up early.
That sounds great. I just want to, yeah, I'm really, really excited to get the claims spec out. That is huge for me. I'm super excited. That one has been a long, very hard learning experience for a whole bunch of us. And it's kind of funny to go back and look at the beginning of it and see this kind of little, what was honestly kind of a dinky spec that we wrote originally like 2 years ago, and see something now that is really looking robust and like it solves I mean, having both Porter and Datadog stuff in the same project was like testing the extremes on both sides for a highly individualized client versus a highly CI-oriented client. So I'm really excited about the way the whole thing has played out. So thank you all for a long, hard, dedicated road to getting that up to where it is now. So I'm looking forward to getting that one passed and merged really quickly. So thank you again.
Totally. Thank you, Carolyn, so much. That was a lot of work.
It's fun though. It's exciting to actually see auditability on your slides and be like, yeah, we're actually a heck of a lot closer to that and having it be real. So I'm excited. Porter doesn't have the same auditability as Datadog. That's why. I mean, you're much more there than we are, but we're catching up.
Yeah. Keep the conversation going. If you have like some low-level questions or stuff you wanted to chat about, we could do it in Slack too.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you, everyone. I'll see you next time.